Well, to talk more about the extreme rain that we've seen in North India, the freak weather and the impact it's had on our towns and cities. You saw that devastation in Himachal Pradesh, also the flooding that we're currently seeing in Delhi. We're now joined by environmentalist Sunita Narain. Sunita, the excess rain in Himachal, then these floods that we're currently experiencing in Delhi, all these events are linked to the rising temperatures, and we're going to be seeing more of these extreme weather events.
We have encroached on the floodplains. We have not provided for drainage in our cities. Yamuna today has no holding capacity. We do not have the right information system so that the dams that are built, how they will release the water, that's our issues. Now, on top of it, and I think that's why we need to be aware why we cannot afford to keep making these mistakes. We now have the revenge of nature. We now have climate change playing a role. That what was in a once in a 5-year incident is becoming a once in a year incident. And that's really what climate change is about. Now, this is why what we talk about climate resilient infrastructure, that is something that we cannot just keep talking about. We need to implement it.
Right, and now a lesson also for the kind of development that we undertake in the fragile areas like Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Even if we are building roads there, maybe we don't need to build these 4-lane highways.
We need this debate not to become a development versus environment issue. We do need development in the Himalayas. We need roads in the Himalayas. We need connectivity in the Himalayas. We do need hydroelectric plants in the Himalayas. The question is, and that's what you mean by climate resilient infrastructure. That's what you mean planning for the ecosystem. You need to make sure that the roads that you build are built keeping in mind the fragility of the Himalayas. It's done in other parts. Remember, Himalayas are the world's youngest mountain range. They are the most seismic. They are the most vulnerable. So you need to do even 10x more to protect the Himalayas than you would in even, say, the Alps. And that's really what the biggest challenge is today. We have good engineers. I'm sure they can do this, but then it'll cost. And that's why I would then need to say, okay, which are the roads that are most critical, and those are what we invest in. Similarly, when it comes to hydroelectric plants, you do need hydroelectric plants, but you don't need to build them back to back as you're building them today. You need to make sure that you don't re-engineer the river. You have to make sure that you optimize on the river flow. You plan for the Himalayas, keeping in mind that climate change will make the world's youngest mountain range even more vulnerable. You don't build your houses on the floodplains of your rivers. You don't you need a master plan to be implemented, that you don't build on the fragile slopes of the Himalayas. So, it's not rocket science, Gargi. We know this.
All right, Sunita, thanks so much for joining us on NDTV.